Thank you very much, Mr. Khatebe. Good evening, everybody. It's always very, very difficult to speak after such profound speeches, which essentially is what we should be hearing every day. And I think my presentation will pick up on what Ntate Martin was talking about, partly because it's exactly what he was saying that we need. Unfortunately, there's not enough time, there's not enough space for all of us at once to be hearing this on a daily basis. So the question is then, how do you make sure that these kinds of messages, that this kind of wisdom reaches as many people as possible in the shortest possible way in this era of technology? So what then happened, and I'm going to take you back around what we now what we refer to as the National Mentorship Movement. What happened around April last year was Deloitte had been talking to me and a couple of other people about the possibility of certain sections of society learning from each other. So these initiatives have been going on in different parts of the country and even in the city, perhaps in a not so much organized fashion. So then April last year in the end, under the auspices of Deloitte, and Dave is here, he was one of the people spearheading this initiative, and others. We had a meeting that was between Black Management Forum and a group of Jewish business people, mostly under the auspices of an organization called OTJET. So we met, and I was facilitating, I was chairing the discussion. And the question on the table was, how do Black businesses and what can Black businesses learn from Jewish businesses? It's a bit of a controversial topic, but it is an important one nonetheless. So we were discussing this, we sat and we scheduled this for a day. It went on, just so much came out of it, a lot of emotion, a lot of politics is involved, but ultimately the question is, how do we come up with a plan that we can use in order to share the knowledge? And by the way, the premise of this is that Jewish business people and Jewish businesses are a lot more successful than Black businesses. It's a straightforward premise, whether you want to dispute that or not, but it is there and it is proven by facts. You talk about a very small section of our society that is doing extremely well. You're talking about the bigger section of our society that obviously is aspiring to do just as well, but perhaps does not have enough knowledge about how to deal with this issue. So we put it on the table. We have this discussion. It's going on. Lots came out of it. High-profile business people from BMF were there. High-profile businesses and business people from the Jewish community were there. So a number of days afterwards go by. Nothing much happens until there's another discussion that happens, and we pick up that two essential things actually came out of that discussion. So, I mean, there are a lot of other things, but two in particularly. So the one is, Jewish business people learn to do business at a very early age, partly because business is done at home. So by 12, the young Jewish boy has an idea of credit and debit. Some vague idea. He has some vague idea of what it means to invest. He may not have the detailed idea of what it means, but he has some vague idea, right? He now and again goes to the father's business and he sits there and he sees the father talking to other business people. He goes to the shul, he sees the father talking, and a lot of other things that they're doing where the business skills and information are transferred. That's one part of the story. The other part of the story is that in South Africa in particular, there is a structure, right, wherein this kind of information is transferred, where mentorship is done in a structural way. There is an organization called OTJET. It's been around a couple of years. You look at the work that it has done, it's verifiable. You can see that this is how many mentors they have, this is how many mentees they've had over the years, and this is the rate of success. So these are two things that are coming out of this discussion. So then we sit and say, well, we know that this is happening, but how do we replicate this at a national level? How do we make sure that everyone has some sort of this augmentation of skills? Because essentially that's what it's about. It's about, you know, you may have a degree in business administration, but actually you don't have the necessary information. You need an augmentation of information. So we then say, okay, so we need to come up with a plan of ensuring that we replicate this, maybe in the province, maybe in the city, but ultimately countrywide. So a lot of people then start sitting down. We decide to have a steering committee, and we have really more than capable people in the steering committee. And throughout these negotiations, by the way, and I'm glad to say that some of those people are in this house and are initiating in this house, including Obaba Morris Khatebe, which I give him a big round of applause for that, ladies and gentlemen. They're giving off their time. They're giving off their time. Dave Wilson over there was there. Give a round of applause for Dave, ladies and gentlemen. So these are people who are giving off their time. They're doing this absolutely expecting nothing in return. And you must understand that we're competing in a very interesting space. There are organizations that are offering mentorship in this country, but you pay. So how do you do this? How do you offer the same thing that other people are offering free of charge, well, that other people are charging for, and you want to offer free of charge? So it's complicated. And everywhere you look, by the way, everyone seems to be offering mentorship. So how do you make sure that the quality of the mentorship that you offer is exactly what this country requires? It is up to scratch. It is up to what the mentees will require. I'll give you an example of the importance of this. So I get invited by one prominent law firm in Sandton, and they say to me, listen, so we heard you talk about this on the radio. We would like to get a sense of, you know, what you guys are thinking. And, you know, I try and say, okay, this is what we're thinking. This is where we want to take this, blah, blah, blah. And they say to me, you know, it is such a critical thing. They give me examples of candidate lawyers or lawyers who have just recently graduated, including accountants, by the way. They say, you know, if you look at that guy was top of his class. If you look at that one, cum laude graduation, but came into this business, disappeared. Nobody knows anything about that person, right? And the reality is that graduating is absolutely not enough in this rat race. It's important that you have somebody holding your hand, somebody guiding you, somebody telling you about the pitfalls, that listen, if you don't look at this, you're going to fall, because everybody is rushing, right? At the expense of the company, at the expense of individuals, at the expense of the country. So they were just saying to me that it is an incredibly important initiative, because it is not about people who have no knowledge of how to run businesses. It is about exactly the people that we've taken to universities, but just do not understand the workplace. They need the basics, the ABCs, so that they can shine, they can be the stars we want them to be. So we sit together, a steering committee is put together, and we meet twice a month trying to deal with this issue. So since then a lot has been happening. I'm going to put up some of the slides just to give you a sense of essential, because it's on the back of what's happening in this economy, and the reality is, the intention is just to turn things around, use the very people that we have, give them enough skill, sometimes confidence, empower them to change things. We also acknowledge skill gaps in society, and we understand that skill gaps is not about education. It's about exactly what Martin was talking about, the issue of leadership. There's a dearth of leadership in society. So we understand the impact of SMEs, and we're saying that you know, solutions will come from different areas, it will come from different people. Success and run successful small businesses, improve existing businesses, successful deliver services to our people, become confident and successful role models. These are the people that we want to create out of this. So the impact is pretty obvious if you think about what's going on in our country at the moment. It's all of there. We want to increase business founders 3 times. That's, you know, we're setting ourselves certain targets around these issues. We're talking about business longevity, which is an important thing, because again, if you look at what SMEs does, and one of the biggest problems that has been identified is that a lot of businesses die pretty early. And not necessarily because people don't have ideas, but they just do not have the know-how. So if you have people who are then prepared to say, listen, I'm going to take you through this. So one of the things that and again, you'll see it towards the end, that a number of companies including Deloitte, where this thing was started, have then offered to assist in this regard. And I'm going to come to Cecil as well. They've done a remarkable contribution where this matter is concerned. So we went to the company that I work for, Prime Media, and we said, so what can you guys do to assist us in this regard? It was much earlier on. And because the idea at the time was that, think about it, if we had a telethon, like one-day telethon on 702 where I work, where we say, South Africans, those of you who have skills, please raise your hands. We're looking for, we'll register you. If you have a particular skill that you think you can impart and make a difference in our society, please just raise your hand. We'll put your names down, right? And we'll do that throughout the day. I mean, we've done telethons about fire and all manner of things, so we can do that. We'll write your name down and then find a way of matching you with those who need your particular skill. So Prime Media says, listen, just tell us when you want to start. Prime Media Broadcasting is standing by. They're ready to do that. So that was part of the idea. But also we go into different companies, we go into the banks and we say, listen, because I'll tell you, my experience is that South Africans across all sectors want to help. And they desperately want to help. More so now than ever, especially those who have gone through themselves difficulties. They say, listen, I know exactly what you've gone through and I'm quite happy to help. But people are always looking for a platform. They're looking for a structured way in which they can assist. So we're saying, for instance, then Prime Media, come on board, assist us. You know, your currency is your airwaves. You then open up your airwaves, let us make this announcement, get people to register, and then we'll put together this system, which Odjet has used successfully, where you have mentees and mentors on and then you match them as and when, and those, of course, who require particular skills. So this is the steering committee. Well, you can put it. Beautiful people over there, especially that guy. You see that guy there? So these are some of the people who are sitting in our steering committee. Paul Bacher, he's with Odjet. Mr. Khadebe is right here. Temba Dlamini, he now is actually, which is interesting because he's now a commissioner with the National Planning Commission. That's his new job. And that guy there. And then Dave Wilson, he's sitting right over there. Brett Morris is the CEO at CB, the advertising company. Dr. Teddy Bletcher, very well known, very much involved in terms of developing young people. Gideon Novik, a business luminary, essentially, somebody who was very well known for Kulula. Glenn is with EOH. These are the people who are structuring and putting together a platform for us to assist us here. Denise Muller is also with Dave Wilson. They're working together. Mike Dege, some of you will know, he's the president of the Chamber of Mines right now, doing extremely well. Clive Batko, another business person. He's now a venture capitalist. So these are some of the people who are sitting on our steering committee. Matsi is not there. She's also another person who sits on our steering committee. So these are the companies that have assisted in putting this together. FCB, EOH, Odjet, BMF, Prime Media Broadcasting, Deloitte, and most importantly, Cecil, who have put their money where their mouths are. Is that what you say? Is that how you say it? Yeah, they've already given us a lump sum, because what we need to do going forward, and perhaps this is the important part, and this is where I need to tell you about how you get involved, is that there's a process underway now to get a CEO, because we want to make this as professional as possible, right? There's a process underway to get a CEO. But Morris and Dave have been interviewing CEOs, etc. That process is underway. We're still looking to finalize that. We've got on board Our Way 2. I don't know how many of you know about Our Way 2 project. They operate out of Braamfontein at the offices of the Public Protector. They are there, young people who are really hungry. They're looking for entrepreneurs out there, trying to assist them as well. They're coming together with us, we're working together, but we're looking for the CEO. So that process is underway. The other process that is underway is to identify the appropriate technology. We've already got the website up and running, but we are still finalizing the appropriate technology that will assist in doing what I said earlier on is a problem here, because it's 2016. We are not always going to have the luxury of sitting here with you and people who have been here before, telling us their stories, beautiful stories. So what we need to do is to have a platform where Ntate Martin can sit at home and share with you his story, even though he's not here with you. So we need that kind of platform, because we know you're working, you're trying to get yourself up there, you're trying to get yourself up the corporate ladder, etc. So we're identifying that technology. The process is underway, and soon we'll be able to come up with some finality. Glenn, who you saw there from EOH, is working flat out trying to identify and finalize issues of that technology. So that's the other part. But I think that, and again, Open Modus was talking about mentorship in this regard. And it's a nice thing because you already have people who are here who are participating in programs of mentorship. So the issue is, how then do we take some of the people that are here, put them at that level, and spread the word nationally? Because that's what we want to do. We understand that this gap exists across the sector, across the spectrum. We want to take it from here, use the people that are already here, and spread the word. That's essentially what we would like to do. And I can promise you, the determination, the commitment that already is out there is incredible, is amazing, and people want to do the best for the country. They realize that you cannot sit and complain all the time without doing anything. And people are out there saying, I have some knowledge about how to run this business, and I'm quite happy to assist where I can. I hope that kind of clarifies it.